All right, let's talk about a story that is absolutely shaking up the entire world of software development. We're going to dive into how a major global app was built at a speed that honestly sounds like science fiction. So picture this. You have to build a brand new mobile app from scratch and launch it to the whole world. How long do you think that takes? 6 months? A year? Well, this team did it in just 28 days. And get this, it wasn't some massive army of coders working around the clock. This entire feat was pulled off by a tiny team. We're talking only 4 human engineers. So, was the app any good? Oh yeah, it was a smash hit. It shot straight to #1 in the Play Store on its very first day. Think about that. And users generated over 1 million videos with it in the first 24 hours alone. Just incredible. So that's the million-dollar question, right? How on earth is that even possible? Well, the secret wasn't just working harder or smarter in the traditional sense. The secret was fundamentally changing who, or maybe what, was actually on the team. Okay, so let's get into their strategy here because it's pretty fascinating. Normally when you're facing a crazy deadline, the first instinct is to just throw more people at the problem, right? But this team, well, they did the exact opposite. They were guided by this legendary piece of wisdom from computer architect Fred Brooks. It's a famous principle in software engineering, and for very good reason. They didn't try to fight this idea, they built their entire strategy around it. And this is the principle right here, Brooks' law. In simple terms, the more people you add to a project, the more time everyone spends just trying to stay coordinated, and everything slows to a crawl. So instead of adding more human engineers, they added a totally new kind of force multiplier, an AI coding agent named Codex. And this next part is so important to how this all worked. They didn't just treat the AI like a fancy tool. No, they treated it like a brand new hire. They onboarded it just like you would a new senior engineer. A senior engineer who happens to be ridiculously fast and never, ever needs a coffee break. So how did they split up the work? It's pretty amazing when you see it laid out. The AI, Codex, was an absolute beast at the heavy lifting. I mean, it could read huge code bases in seconds, write all the boring tests, and apply feedback instantly. But, and this is a big but, it needed human guidance for the why. The big picture architectural decisions, what a good user experience feels like, all the stuff that humans are great at. And the results of this human-AI partnership? Honestly, it's staggering. Just look at this breakdown. When all was said and done, an estimated 85% of the final application's code was written by the AI. 85. The humans wrote just 15%, but that 15% was the most critical, high-level, strategic work of the entire project. Now, this kind of result doesn't happen by magic. You can't just drop an AI into a Slack channel and hope for the best. It required a completely new workflow, a deliberate playbook for how humans and AI can really truly build something together. And here's what that playbook actually looked like. First, the human engineers laid a solid foundation. The core architecture, the coding patterns, basically the rules of the road. Then they'd work with the AI to plan out a specific feature. And only when that plan was solid would they turn the AI loose to just execute. And then finally, the humans would come back in to do the crucial work of reviewing, testing, and integrating the code. This whole process just completely changes the role of the software engineer. They spent way less time actually typing out lines of code and way more time making high-level decisions, reviewing the AI's work, and directing the flow. I love this analogy. They went from being a musician playing an instrument to being the conductor of the entire orchestra. So, let's zoom out. What does this all mean for the future of building software? Well, the implications are huge, and it starts by tackling one of the biggest headaches in app development, making things work on different operating systems. The team had this running joke, but it's one of those jokes that's actually kind of profound. All those complicated frameworks developers use to build an app for both iOS and Android? Well, instead of all that, they just pointed the AI at their finished iOS Swift code and basically said, hey, can you translate this into a native Android app for us? And it just worked. Now, of course, the big question is, does this make human engineers obsolete? And the answer is a resounding no. Far from it. This new era demands an even higher level of skill. The most valuable engineers, the new superstars, are going to be the ones with deep architectural vision and, crucially, the ability to collaborate with their new AI teammates. So yeah, this changes everything. The bottleneck in creating new things is no longer how fast we can type code, it's the scope of our imagination. When an AI can handle all the boilerplate, it frees us humans up to focus on the really creative, complex, and interesting problems. And that leaves all of us with one big, exciting question. What are we going to build now?